Are the satin, glossy and matte protective coatings suitable for a kitchen? All Magic Paint protective coatings are suitable for this use. What should you not use on kitchens? Wax. So, you don't protect kitchens with wax. Do you want to age it with wax? A kitchen? Don't do it. Instead, do a color wash then apply a finish. How is a color wash done? Watch a tutorial showing a color wash. It's a great technique requiring explanation properly, calmly. So go and watch the right video. I've stirred it well, and in the meantime I've been talking to ensure it's thoroughly mixed. The more you stir, the better the components blend for maximum effectiveness. We add water between 5 and 20%. I always tell you not to let anxiety or stress get the better of you, because the protective coating just needs to be slightly more fluid. That's why you dilute it, so it doesn't go on too thick and you avoid drips or runs. I add about a tablespoon or so. Actually, maybe I put in 2, and I've got the consistency I need, this one. Now I'll give it another little stir. I've diluted the whole can, because I'll be protecting all the red cupboard doors, but then we'll also protect the black ones. I pour it all into the tray, just leaving a little drop for Emma here in the can, and we're ready to start with the protective coating in the tray. I'm leaving a bit here for Emma, who will use the brush. We can also use a small brush here, because sometimes we're more precise in the corners. As before, long pile roller. Today we want everything with a long pile, and with masking tape that makes our pile really curly. Alright, everyone uses this technique, even decorators, they just have bigger rollers. But we're actually quicker, usually us women, with a roller like this, because we can do a whole wall in 5 minutes. Isn't that right? It's true. I load up my roller well, Emma goes ahead with the brush, does the corners for me like before, and I follow behind with the roller. The bonus of having a microfiber roller with this kind of pile is that it makes much less foam compared to the rollers we used to use. The old ones were used with the sponge. There are people, though, who prefer the sponge one and keep buying that. That's fine. There's a huge difference in the application. It doesn't leave an orange peel effect. It releases more product, so you need one less coat, but above all, it makes much less foam. The microfiber roller, regardless of pile length, doesn't leave the streaks or foam that the sponge roller does. Give it a try, because it will change your life. And above all, it doesn't leave any marks. Now, let's quickly protect the whole kitchen, because I want to have it finished by tonight. Again, don't press down too hard here. But remember that this type of roller bristle actually allows the product we're applying to self-level. So the protective coating will automatically self-level on the surface. I can assure you that the protective coating here will be entirely invisible to the naked eye. It will be a smooth, protective satin layer that protects the paint without leaving any kind of smudge. You won't see any roller marks, you have my word. The first door is done. Emma, what do you think? Shall we use the hairdryer as well to speed things up? A little bit, yes. Let's finish all the cupboard doors with the first coat straight away. I'd really like to finish by tonight, at least the red kitchen, because the black section is still missing. Protective coating on the dishwasher. But do I apply it differently compared to the doors? No, just roll it on and that's it. I've decided to do the tabletop as well. Why? Because this little bit here and another side piece of wood, which actually isn't wood, it's veneered, have come unglued and I don't like it. But I want to leave the leg in wood color, because in this room I've decided to keep some pieces in natural wood. The doors are wood, the window is wood. I decided to keep this top here in wood as well, because it's really nice. So I'll do this with Nuit Parisienne, but I'll leave this as wood, and we've decided to leave the side parts in wood too. So all the parts around it, the structure, is wood. I like this combination because it keeps the warmth in the room. We're doing the top with Vin Brulé, but with the second coat I'll show you. A very particular texture, created only with the color and the wood grain pad. The first coat, though, obviously needs to be applied pure, and I always use a roller. Here I do a coat everywhere, both on the central part and here. These here are the extensions for the central part. When these are dry, I'll gently lift them so I can paint the edges as well, but I want the first coat to cover everything. I go everywhere with the roller, smooth, the trick to avoid marks is to start from the center and spread the color up and down. This color will help make this table truly perfect because it matches the rest of the kitchen perfectly. I smooth it before it dries too much. And I carry on. Just a quick reminder, to cover the entire surface I did today, I used just one can. I'm still on the first can of Vin Brulé. It's not a trick for the camera. I promise you, I haven't even opened another one. It's unbelievable how much this color covers, so please, don't go buying up all the Vin Brulé, or Magic Paint will go bankrupt. If you need to do a door or several doors, make sure to use this technique, especially if they are very smooth. Take it off, put it on 2 trestles, and work just like I'm doing. This way, I assure you, you won't have any flaws at all. To avoid making the tabletop look too flat, let's use the wood grain pad, an item that's often unfairly criticized. I don't know why, maybe because people don't know how to use it properly, so they think it's something fake. But for wood to look real, it has to be imitated by what actually exists in nature. We never see lots of tiny veins in nature, one next to the other, right? Sometimes we see 2 eyes close together, yes, of course, but to make a good wood grain effect you have to copy real wood as much as possible. It's better if we print out, or look on a monitor, or on our phone, a photo of real wood. That way, we can use the wood grain pad in the same way, imitating the real grain of wood. Now I'm going to use this technique, starting from the beginning and going right to the end with the 2 extensions, because we've decided to paint them too. For these as well, like before, I use the roller and I've put a drop of protective coating in the paint, so it slides much more easily. One very important thing is to be generous, because to get the groove of the wood grain effect, so the shape of the wood. On this surface, you need to use more paint. I'm being quite generous, as you can see. I'm putting on a fair amount and doing more or less 30 centimeter stripes. This way, on these 30 centimeters, I can also go back and reposition if needed. Remember, the important thing is not to skimp. Here, you need to put on a bit more, because you need to give the wood grain pad a chance to do its job. Next, take the wood grain pad with the eye facing downwards. I start like this. When I lower it, it creates grain. And voila! I made this movement once here, where this eye is, and once here, where this other eye is. I didn't do it like this. The important thing is for you to understand that this is a very subtle, very delicate technique to hint at a wood grain. So it's not a technique that shouts, no, it's something very understated, but in my opinion, it's beautiful. Now watch, because I'm going to carry on. I'm applying plenty of color again, and remember, the trick today is that I've added a bit of protective coating to the paint. This way, the pad glides smoothly, because since the pad is made of silicone, there's a risk it could stick to the painted surface. Since we want to avoid it causing friction, we need to be careful and make sure it glides smoothly like this. I'll start again, come over here, slightly overlap the previous grain, and carry on. Now let's protect the table, and I'll give you 2 options. The first option is still a long pile roller, the second is with a sponge, and I'll show you that in a moment. Here I've already applied my protective coating, always satin, slightly diluted, and with the long pile roller as before, I protect the whole table. Be careful here too, you mustn't spread it too thin, you need to let it self-level. This way, after applying the protective coating, I assure you that you'll see these beautiful grains made with the wood grain pad on the table stand out even more. The same applies as in the kitchen, so 2 coats of protective coating. Let's avoid a 3rd coat if possible, please. As you can see, I'm very quick and of course I started from the center, just as I did with the color. Now I smooth it out so there aren't any marks at all. And look how beautiful this wood grain looks, created with the wood grain pad, very subtle and really elegant. We have a very nice surface, but it needs 2 coats of protection for it to be truly scratch-proof. having diluted the protective coating a little more. I'll show you the second coat of protective coating with the sponge. Why the sponge? Because I'm tired of everyone always telling me that protective coating leaves marks. The protective coating doesn't leave marks, it highlights, in case it's glossy or satin. If it's matte, it doesn't, because by making it matte, it doesn't highlight anything, not even the layers underneath. Why am I telling you this now? Because there's no clearer example than this. I did a wood grain effect, simply using a pad, and I applied the protective coating just with a roller. And as you can see, the grain is very visible, created simply with the color. So here, there isn't a real step, there's no textured paste. So I need to make you understand this part. If you apply the color unevenly on a table, if you make brush strokes like this, where there are more breaks between one section and another, and you don't do as I've just done, that is, starting from the center, spreading out and smoothing, so that there aren't any marks left afterwards. Now, if you do a rough application, the protective coating, whether it's glossy or satin, will highlight everything. So, for people who are really precise, for those who truly hate and can't stand any kind of mark, I've created these two sponges with a handle that are honestly out of this world. But if you want a perfect surface, you must always remember to apply the paint perfectly. And if you don't want to see brush strokes, don't apply the paint with a brush. It's simple. If I don't want brush strokes, I use a roller to apply it. Use a medium pile roller, then take a smooth surface sponge. After you've applied 2 coats of paint with the medium pile roller, use the smooth surface sponge. We gently smooth it out, without pressing down, and not between one coat and the next, all right. Please, make sure you don't do this. It's wrong to think that if you use the smooth surface sponge between coats, the finish will turn out better. All you're doing is removing layers and just wasting money. The smooth surface sponge should only be used on the final coat, especially when using a microfiber roller, whether it's medium, short, or long pile. Once you've smoothed the surface, taken a microfiber cloth, and removed all the dust that can be created by smoothing, it's time to use our sponges to protect it even better. How do you do it? By putting the sponge under water, wringing it out well, and drying it with a towel or some paper. After that, place it under the pad. This way, instead of fluffing up the sponge with your hands, by simply using the pad, it's much lighter and you don't create foam with the protective coating. Why do I have 2 thicknesses? A thinner one if I have small things to protect, like chairs, small tables, little items. A slightly thicker one if I have large surfaces. A thicker sponge absorbs more product, so it releases it more slowly and I can protect a larger surface, without having to reload it all the time. So this is how you do it. Sponge under water, soak it, then squeeze it out really, really, really well. Why do we do this step? We do it because in this way, the sponge, being damp, absorbs the product better and creates less foam, so it takes up the protective coating even more effectively. Then, on the side near the blue part, there's the felt. I take it and attach it underneath here, like this. After that, I simply let the protective soak into the tray. We leave it for a moment so it can absorb. The protective coating must always be diluted. You obviously can't use it pure, because otherwise it would be far too much and wouldn't be absorbed properly. If there's any excess, I gently drain it off like this into the tray, and then I start to apply it. When you see there's less product, you can also press down with the handle. And this way, you won't have any problem at all, because more product will come out, but it won't foam up. And you won't leave any marks. This is because the sponge doesn't leave any marks. I load it up. Gently drain off the excess, and I start applying it. My table is finished as well. Nice and fresh to finish off this kitchen today. 1 day, 2 days. 2 days. You won't take 2 days, simply because you don't have Emma. And let's be honest, when you do your first kitchen, it definitely takes more time. We've done loads over the years, so we're pretty well practiced, but do take care. When you start a job as important as this, make sure to take your time. So maybe go and eat at a friend's place, or ask the family to have you over for dinner a few times, because it's best not to use the kitchen when working on it.
Let's put Nuit Parisienne in the tray. First coat, pure color, even if we're using a roller.
Yes, Emma carries on like yesterday, doing all the recesses, and I follow behind with the roller. Today I've gone for the short pile, because we're giving it a try. So you can see the microfiber pile is much shorter. Our bar was already done yesterday, and with 2 coats. Oops, sorry, we're getting full coverage. Make sure to be precise when applying it, because it won't show. I mean, it's self-leveling, but a bit of precision is always essential. For the fridge, which I'm going to paint black, I'll treat it just like all the other materials. There's no difference at all. We've already done our bar well, more than once, and we've already rinsed thoroughly more than once, with a nice well-wrung cloth, cleaned and with very hot water. And now, with my microfiber roller, with short pile, I'm going over the whole fridge. Obviously, Emma will come over to help me, and where I can't reach with the roller, she'll go over with the brush. It's important that after she's gone over with the brush, I go over again with the roller, because there shouldn't be any difference between the brush strokes and the roller finish. But what I want to show you is the coverage. This is the adhesion it has on a fridge. But the thing is, you don't need to be afraid that it might get scratched, because as soon as the paint has dried, it's covered well with its 2 full coats and is 100% protected with 2 coats of protective coating. It becomes so resistant, the surface is firmly set and scratch-proof, that it won't come off. The problem then is that those who have done this kind of work over the years have used makeshift products they found in some DIY stores, or products that aren't of top quality. Not like Magic Paint. They were probably disappointed because they saw surfaces where either the paint peeled off or got scratched. So, quality on a surface like this really makes a difference, doesn't it? Because paints that adhere well, like Magic Paint, on a surface like this, will last for many years without being damaged. And it's hard to find such paints. So please, don't redo it with just any product. Right, I'll let you carry on with the brush now. This way, you prepare the whole surface, and when you're done, I'll gently go over it again with the roller. Look what happens when you go over it with the roller right after you've just used it. See what happens. You lighten the color and basically remove it. So please, don't do it. Do you know why? Otherwise, instead of applying, you end up removing. And then it dries badly. Now I'll let Emma go ahead. And voila, let's put on the knobs. They are perfectly fitted. We did a good job. Let's carry on. Have we finished everything? We finished everything. We have put everything back together and we were quick. In record time, because we had some important help. From me, from Clarissa, from the hairdryer and the stove, especially the stove.
So I'll say it again. If you need to do a kitchen, don't do it.
In a day and a half, take a few days off, or if you're already on holiday, buy the materials and get a little more than you need, rather than risk running out. Just agree it with the reseller. If you don't open that can, you can always take it back. They'll offer a voucher, refund, or color swap. Never buy just the exact amount of material. That's first. Second thing, when you start doing a kitchen, you need to have all the materials ready. Get the right roller, a small brush, a pointed brush, to do the details and a tray. Have all materials ready before starting. All right. Don't go thinking, oh, I might have that at home. Then you end up with the wrong roller. It soaks up too much paint. For example, let's take an example. This morning I used a different roller on the fridge section, and on the cabinet, I wanted to test it 100% under the same temperature conditions, the short nap roller. It wasn't right for me today. In fact, I used it for 1 coat, but for the second coat, I didn't use it anymore. I used a long nap roller, the same one I used yesterday with the Vin Brulé. So for me, kitchens should always be done with a medium or long nap roller, because it releases more paint, but more slowly. It dries less, it self-levels, leaves fewer marks, you put in less effort and use less paint. Don't think it makes you use more, it actually makes you use less. A shocking fact. 1 can of Vin Brulé. And it's shocking because, to do everything we did, just 1 can of Vin Brulé. It's not the same coverage for all the colors. Vin Brulé is very covering. Other colors that are very covering are royal green, sunset blue, pepper blue. Pepper blue, very much so. More than the Nuit Parisienne. So always remember that you save a lot, especially if you use your head and choose colors that are obviously very covering. And it's not like I've only come up with one alternative. There are alternatives in greens, blues, reds, and there are others too. Rocha, dark sand, for lighter shades. There are many opaque colors. Of course, if someone wants to do a kitchen with Sofio, they need to understand that they'll use several cans for a kitchen. That's it. It's not that magic paint makes non-covering colors, it's just that the pigments are like that. That's the color, so it cover less. How many cans of protective coating did you use? 2. Maybe we opened another one, just like that. Because I did more coats. Yes, and extra coats everywhere. There were other pieces of furniture. You'll see them all later, the pieces we did in this room to unify the tones. But 2.5 cans. No, 2 cans and a bit of protective coating. 1 can of Nuit Parisienne. It's just a small piece. The Nuit Parisienne here covered slightly less than the Vin Brulé. But in my opinion, it's all the fault of the short nap roller. I don't want to demonize it, but in such a warm room, the short nap roller made the paint go less far. The long nap roller was better, because the dryness of the air, in fact, has an effect. So the answer I can give you is, are you starting with a kitchen? Well, first of all, you don't start with the kitchen, you start with a small table, a little piece of furniture. You should test everything you're going to do on the kitchen on that little table. What does that mean? Buy the roller, buy the tray, and the little brush, and you act as if you're doing a kitchen. You don't have a way to do a little table because you don't have one. Take a door of the kitchen and you paint the inside. What does that mean? Don't do the whole kitchen straight away, but take a cupboard door, take it off, work on it horizontally, and do the inside first. You don't start by taking the whole kitchen apart. That's what I can recommend. Once you've applied 2 coats of paint, 2 coats of protective coating, and the cupboard door is perfect, you're ready to buy all the materials and do the whole job. So my advice is to get a 125 milliliter can of the color you like and test it on your kitchen. Get your brush, roller, and tray and start to really understand that the drying times vary depending on the season, the temperature, and how your home is heated. Once the whole process is done, we need to talk about how to maintain these pieces of furniture. All the furniture in this room has been protected with a protective coating, which means they can still be cleaned. But we're not going to be scrubbing them down with soap every day. I mean, we're not running a professional restaurant here. Right, so there are things that absolutely must not come into contact with the paint, with magic paint, with paints in general, or even with resins. It's not good because even resins can dissolve. I'm talking about alcoholic substances and acidic things. All right. So, anything acidic will corrode, anything alcoholic will strip the paint, and perfumes, for example, those reed diffusers, are alcoholic because the fragrance inside evaporates. So it contains alcohol. So, when you pick up that lovely little bottle and swirl the sticks around to scent the whole room, you mustn't do it on the furniture. Because otherwise, the perfume stains will mark and strip the finish from your furniture. Always use a little dish underneath and turn the sticks over the sink. This is the trick, because almost every day we get messages from customers about this very issue. Things that are too acidic, detergents that are too acidic, guys, let's not use caustic soda. Let's not use these kinds of things, because obviously they'll end up damaging a kitchen. How do you keep a kitchen clean and fresh over the years? A small basin of lukewarm water. If you want to use a spray detergent, just 2 sprays, 1, 2, 3, into the water. Not on the surface, and not just because it's painted. If you have a front door, okay. That is new and just placed. Detergent and degreaser, you know the one. We all know the brand, because it's overused. We spray that degreaser like this. We'll do it today, then monthly, wipe it with a dry cloth. Oh, how nice, no rinsing needed. 2 things. First, every time you touch that door with your hands, you pick up all that surfactant and inevitably carry it around on your skin. Everywhere, the kids, anyone who touches it ends up with that detergent on them because you haven't rinsed it off. And that's contamination. This is a way to slowly poison yourself. So detergents must always be rinsed off to avoid ingesting them. That's one. Second thing, the surface gets damaged, it becomes dull, it loses its shine, because over the years that detergent, in those spots where you spray it. That's exactly where the streak will be. It'll be there for years, because it actually takes away the shine, all right. So please, don't apply detergents directly onto surfaces, whether they're new or painted with magic paint. A small basin, lukewarm water, a bit of soap in it, better if it's a biodegradable soap, which is even less harmful to your health and the environment. a little drop in a small basin, a microfiber sponge, wash with that. But the important thing is to rinse and dry, obviously rinse first. To finish, what I want to say is, paint your kitchens, go for it. I'd love to paint the one by the sea. I'm tired of seeing it white. Add some color to your kitchens, they'll last for many years. One last tip, if I may, don't take a hot pan straight from the stove and put it down here. You shouldn't do that, but you shouldn't do it on any worktop, not even on an unpainted one, it's just not done. Always use a trivet and use it worry-free, as, unless you damage it with a knife, this kitchen will last for years. Alright, many years. Well, we started by saying that the kitchen is still there, but the couple broke up. Yes. Here, though, they'll really enjoy it. Many years, loads of years. Shall we say goodbye? Yes. Let's say goodbye, and if you have any questions, write them below. I hope I've been thorough enough. I know this is a very ordinary kitchen, and that's exactly what we wanted to show you today. So, a nice, solid, dated wooden kitchen, which can still be useful for many years to come. We haven't shown you the restyling of a massive kitchen, 20 square meters or so. You can already see those on my group. I love Magic Paint, because there are loads of people who have done up some beautiful kitchens, but go there, use the magnifying glass and type in kitchen, and you'll see examples of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kitchens. Ask questions to those who have already done it, so at least you'll get immediate answers about durability and maintenance. You can find the products used on the website www.magicpaint.it. So you can either buy them there or go to a good retailer, which you can obviously find on the same site, listed by region or right. The only place where you won't find Magic Paint is on Amazon, so if you're shopping on Amazon, buy something else, not Magic Paint. And the quality just isn't the same. I forgot to tell you about the little black wall. Why did I choose it? Because we started with black. The center is Vin Brulé, and I wanted to finish with the same color, so Nuit Parisienne on the wall too. It's identical to the paint version. Washable, water repellent, so if you get any splashes while cooking, just use a damp microfiber cloth and it all comes clean again. Goodbye.